But we decided, since he was available, to keep Ken Klukowski on just a little bit longer. He is the co-author with Ken Blackwell, the book, The Blueprint. And if you would like to join us on that discussion, we'll keep him around for just a few more minutes. I know some of you are waiting online, so we'll get to those calls in just a minute. The book is published by Lyons Press, about 300 pages, really provides an opportunity for you to not only understand the blueprint under the Obama administration, but some very creative and practical application points, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But Ken, if you don't mind, we've got a few people who'd like to talk to you.
Happy to.
Let's go to Florida, WAFG. Henry, I think you have some comments, and go ahead. You're on with Ken Klukowski.
Hi, Kirby. This is Henry Patino, your Cuban-American buddy from Miami. Listen, I read a great book a while back, about 20, 30 years ago, called Warning to the West by Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Oh, yes.
Pathetic book. He mentioned a yawning crevasse that was swallowing all of Europe called socialism, and warned America that if we didn't watch what we were doing, that we would end up within that crevasse. Everything that he said has happened. And I think that few Americans really understand how deep down that crevasse we have already come. I am deeply concerned that if we don't understand how far to the bottom of that crevasse we've already come, that we're not going to take the action that's necessary to stop the complete, irreversible crevasse from taking our nation.
Right.
I think that most Americans are not really aware that they can lose their freedoms because they've had freedom for so long. I lived in a communist nation. I fled from a communist nation. I know the preciousness of freedom. And I am so deeply concerned for my children here. It makes me cry at night. I really pray that Americans begin to understand that they need to get involved, not yesterday, day before yesterday, in our government, in the Tea Party, and to get action going. Because if we don't, we're at the end of that crevasse.
Well, and I might just say, Henry, that I hope you'll be listening next week, because Monday and Tuesday we're devoting 2 full days on this program to socialism, offering what we think are some of the best DVDs we've seen. Some come from the Family Research Council. One comes from our good friends at Coral Ridge Ministries right there in Fort Lauderdale, and some other material. And we're going to get the best experts on over a 2-day period to talk about socialism, offer the DVDs so that you can educate yourself, your children, and your grandchildren. But I'd love to get some comments from you, Ken, because that really is a theme that runs through your book in terms of some of the issues.
And, I certainly wouldn't want to compare myself to Solzhenitsyn, whom I've also read, but there's another great book out there that talks about it. The Blueprint, Obama's plan to subvert the Constitution and build an Imperial Presidency. So I appreciate very much what Henry was saying. We discuss socialism in Chapter 5 of the book.
Yes.
And in Chapter 7, we quote a federal appeals judge who grew up in a communist country as well. And we quote at length what he talks about in terms of losing freedom and how we have to be ever vigilant about it. I appreciate that Henry is worried for his children. In the dedication of my book, I mentioned my 2 children, Chase and Caleb, who are, as I say there, my daily reminders that each of us has a duty to protect freedom for the next generation. And so absolutely that is something where people need to be engaged. This is where I become so very concerned when I hear someone say publicly, oh, don't worry, Obama only has a 20% chance of getting reelected. That can make us complacent. We need to be fighting. We need to be fighting right now. We need to be fully engaged. And that's why in each chapter of the Blueprint, we explain to people what they can do right now to be fighting for their freedom. I also should mention to your audience, Kirby, that people want more information on the book. They are, of course, able to buy it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Borders. They can also go to its website, to our website, www.theblueprintbook.net. And we can certainly help direct them there to more resources, because this is a fight we need to be in right now. And it's when you talk to people who came from big government oppressive countries that they're the ones sounding the alarms. They're the ones saying, never trust a government. That's what our Constitution, in fact, was designed for. It was premised on a healthy mistrust of government so that we always watch government carefully, and so that we enforce the constitutional limits to tightly control the scope of government power over our own lives and that of our children.
I might mention in Chapter 5 there, which is entitled, We're All Socialists Now, the Economy. You talk about the sovereign fund, what's happening with some of these big corporations. You talk about cap and trade, and we've talked about that some on the program, the stimulus, taxes, and much, much more. And we really are, as Henry points out, heading down the road towards socialism. Frankly, we're already very far down that road. And one of the things that we'll be talking about next week is that when you survey those under the age of 30 and you ask them, is capitalism better than socialism, you end up with kind of one-third, one-third, one-third. One-third say capitalism is, one-third say socialism is, and one-third says, I don't know. Well, that doesn't bode well for the future. So one of the things we recognize is the importance of educating young people, especially through this program, through other kinds of means, about the value of the free enterprise system, because they've grown up where socialism has been taught in the schools, where it's been basically extolled by various leaders in Congress, as well as even extolled by the media. And so your book is a wonderful and helpful antidote to some of that.
Well, and Kirby, you're absolutely right that it is a matter of education, and that's why in Chapter 8 we discuss how Barack Obama is trying to take over the education process, because what we're seeing in terms of those one-third, one-third, one-third numbers, that would have been shocking as recently as 25 years ago. People would have been horrified, and they would have said, what the heck are they teaching in school? If one-third of children don't understand that socialism impoverishes people, it makes them dependent, and it takes away their ability of self-determination. That's why we talk in Chapter 8 about how President Obama, part of his blueprint, is to fundamentally change the way young people think of the economy and think about government and about family, to indoctrinate a whole new generation to a whole new way of thinking that would then support his policies in perpetuity for generations on end.
Again, on our website, we have 5 different articles that you or Ken have written. We have information about your book, your bios, but let's also, for anybody that didn't have a chance to write that down, let's mention your website just before we let you go.
Absolutely. The title of the book is The Blueprint, Obama's Plan to Subvert the Constitution and Build an Imperial Presidency. It's a #1 bestseller, and the website is www.theblueprintbook.net. Though, again, they can also get it at Barnes & Noble, Borders, or go online, getting it there or getting it on Amazon.
Well, Ken Klukowski, I appreciate you staying with us for more than an hour. You tied into a little bit more than you bargained for, but we appreciate you giving us some opportunity. We look forward to the next time we can call on you, because you certainly are an articulate individual that has understood constitutional law, and it was just a privilege to have you on the program with us today.
Great to be with you, Kirby. Thank you. I'll look forward to coming back.
We will do that again.